Yesterday. Wow. The Federal Reserve cutting interest rates by 25 basis points. Overall, when I was watching the statement, the press conference by Jerome Powell, he looked tired. He looked sickly. He looks like he's under a lot of stress. And again, whether it's the administration and the pressure and the tweets or the social media posts, or it's just the overall scenario where you have higher inflation and also weaker growth, he looks to be under a lot of pressure. Now, interestingly enough, he did say that there is no good answer here. That's one of the things that stood out to me is it was not a robust, happy press conference. He said, listen, inflation's going up and the economy is weakening, the labor market is weakening. He said, listen, if we cut rates, we're going to see probably more pressure on inflation. If we raise rates, obviously, then you kill the economy. There's no stress-free or no risk avenue here. And I think the markets, again, which we're seeing up this morning, are misreading this. Don't be surprised if this is a classic rug pull by the institutions where they dump into this. In fact, already this morning, futures are starting to roll over. We're still nicely green, but we are way off of our highs, even after Nvidia announced a $5 billion investment into Intel this morning. The other news of the day is that Nvidia invests $5 billion into Intel. Now, that's just a drop in the bucket, but it's sending Intel up 30% this morning. Now, again, me just thinking more of a global sphere, we have to ask ourselves as investors, is this good? It's no coincidence that about a month ago, the US bought 9.9% ownership in Intel, and then a month later, Nvidia says, all right, we'll give them or we'll invest $5 billion to help build out their foundry side, their chip side, their data center side of the business. And again, you just wonder if currying favor is the right move. Maybe it is. Maybe that's the right move. We don't know, but I always like to present these thoughts to you guys so that you can make informed decisions. One way or the other, that's fine. But we should always know. I never want to be said that I had my head in the sand about anything. I want to know everything, and I'll make my own decisions. All right. So that's where we are here. Let's flip over to the S&P. Look at the S&P here, guys. This is pretty remarkable. These are the futures. So this was the Fed decision yesterday. And initially, the markets loved the 25 basis point cut. Then they reversed. We waited and chopped around. Once Jerome Powell started to speak, the markets dumped out. Then all of a sudden, late in the day, we saw this resurgence in the S&P futures. If I was a betting man, I would say that probably news leaked out about the Nvidia deal with Intel late in the day. Now, again, one thing to keep in mind on, I don't remember if it was the jobs report last time or if it was another CPI or PPI report, but one major report, there was a big announcement by a company the day after. And it's almost as if these things are being planned right after these big events, just in case the markets don't behave. Then you have this big announcement that can cushion the blow to the downside. Now, in this case, the markets rallied back late in the day. My guess is, once again, news leaked out ahead of time. By the way, I wish I could get on that little Telegram group or whatever it is that gives this insider information, because I think we could do a lot of great things there with that in terms of money making. But listen, I'm not on that list. I don't think a lot of you guys are. Wish we were. It is what it is, right? All right, back to the charts we go. Look at the futures rolling over here, guys. So even in spite, and this is one of the things that I'm really contemplating. Like, I don't know who you are, but if you watched that press conference yesterday by Jerome Powell, he was more hawkish, all right? The validity and trustworthiness of the Fed continues to degrade. Why do I say that? Well, because the new appointee to the Federal Reserve Board voted for a 50 basis point rate cut yesterday. He was the only one that did, and he also said we should cut 5 times into year end. Everyone else said 2 cuts or less due to inflation. And so, again, we're seeing very clearly that the Trump administration, and listen, I'm not even saying, like, to be fair, any administration could be doing this, but they are purposely going to put people on that are going to lower rates substantially. Now, while that may help in the near term get the borrowing costs of the U.S. down, it does degrade the independence of the Fed and ultimately probably weakens the U.S. in the long term. Just like the benefits that I hate when these politicians, they spend money. Democrats, Republicans, they're all the same. They want to spend money now because they need to be reelected. They want to stay in power. So they need the economy to stay good now, even if it sacrifices the future of the country by running up large amounts of debt that we have to pay back later. And again, this is the same sort of thing, instant gratification. We live in a society where it's instant gratification when we really should be focused on making a healthy body, a healthy country for the long run. Bitcoin is testing this epic level. 117,200-ish to 300-ish. Right now, it's a shade about $100 above that. The reason why this is so important to me is yesterday I made this discovery, long-term trend line. Listen, it's not a discovery. I talked about this trend line months and months ago. I kind of had just forgotten because we had gone above it briefly. But this line now means something to me. Every time we get above this line, we make a new all-time high. Then we came below. And again, I can go back to the daily and show you. So you got above, all-time high. Then came back below. Got above, made a new all-time high, came below. It likewise, who else am I to believe that if they're able to get this above, it probably shoots to an all-time high. Now, where that all-time high is questioned, right? I mean, we have to respect this level of resistance, high pivot to high pivot. Your first resistance would be around 126,400 on Bitcoin. Not to say it can't get through there, but that would be my upside target if we really have a daily close with confirmation above this level. And I think that's important. You got to see confirmation.